right, so we are here, episode 2, Big Brother. So we get right into the episode, and the episode starts with, just the ending of the live taping where everyone's coming back inside. They're excited, and they can finally just kind of like we're here, because the pressure of the live show is done, and now they can just relax because they're not on live TV, but they're on live feeds at this point. But everybody's just getting acquainted, looking around the house, jumping up and down, screaming, excited that they all got there. And everybody's excited, posing in the cameras, posing in the mirrors, and just getting to know everybody. And then we get Frenchie, who is the HOH. He's got more to think about than the rest of them at this moment in time, because he has to eventually put 2 people on the block for eviction. So they're all walking around the house, like I said, just getting acquainted, and then they all sit down in the circle and do the typical first day situation that happens every single time on every single season of Big Brother, just the champagne toast where they go around and introduce each other. They all introduce each other. Just some notable points you got whenever Alyssa started speaking. Xavier starts mentioning the girls that could make it hard for him to not have a showmance, which would be, he named off Alyssa, he named off Azza, he named off Whitney, and I believe he named off Sarah B. Yeah, he did say Sarah. Sarah don't want you, dude. She's a lesbian. So that he crossed that one off. But yeah, that was funny. But he said Alyssa is the one that he thinks is really going to be the biggest issue for him in the house. He's obviously more attracted to her than the rest of them. And then the rest of the guys start mentioning themselves and talking about what they do. And then Frenchie is sitting there. They keep panning to Frenchie after Brent speaks or Christian speaks. And he's sitting there looking a little haterish. And in his DR, he is literally sitting there saying these guys, Brent, Christian, Xavier, and what's that nigga's name? Travis. Saying that all of them are the ones that he wants out of the house. They're the meatheads because they always end up getting all the girls. Seeming very jealous, very insecure. He's the type of dude that probably in high school was the geek, the nerdy one that wasn't necessarily liked by most people, but he was upset about that. But he said those are the ones he's probably going to go for. So then we get a foreshadow into the have-not room, what the conditions will be like. And then after that, Frenchie and Derek F are in the room alone, and they kind of solidify a final 2 deal that they got going on. They feel like it's a straight shot for them because no one would really expect somebody like Derek to be with somebody like Frenchie. So that's where they're at right now. Oh shit, I just sat on my basketball. So we get back and we're in the HOH room with Frenchie, Hannah, Claire, and Azza. And he's sitting there telling them we're gonna shake this up. I wanna shake this up and do something that the fans have not seen on the show before, which is to go after the people that don't typically get gone after the first week, which the people that typically are gone after are the older people or the geeky, nerdy looking ones. So he's claiming he's gonna go after the jocks, the jockey looking ones. And basically he's telling them, I'm not putting a woman up. So he makes his rounds around the house telling every woman, he told Alyssa, he told Tiffany, he told Sarah, I'm not putting no woman up. So this is what he's basically doing, is setting a paper trail for basically, okay, I'm telling you this is my word, I want you to believe me, and we'll see how this goes towards the end. So now he's looking at his top 2 targets as Brent and Christian, and he wants those 2 to be the ones to go home at this moment in time. So he's basically walking around the house, like I said, just doing that, telling everybody his business. And then he finally gets into the room with Brent and finally has a conversation. And he says that Brent is a top target for him because Brent did not speak to him, wasn't talking to him, claims he was standoffish, yada, yada, yada. Seeming quite insecure, if you ask me. But he sits down with Brent and basically tells him that as well. Brent was like, I was purposely not trying to be up in your face because you won HOH. And typically, I don't want it to look as if I'm just doing this because you got power. And then Brent opens up to him about basically losing his dad to suicide, talking about how he basically found out by reading a note, which was definitely a moment because that's hard. Suicide is hard in general. Luckily for me, I've not known anyone that's committed suicide and have passed due to it, but I've heard enough stories to where it's definitely not something that is exciting to take in, or it's easy to take in, because if someone passes away from like sickness or just old age, that's easier to deal with. But when someone takes their life, that's hard. And they have a moment where they're kind of basically getting together and just kind of having a real genuine moment with each other. Frenchie now, after he had that conversation with him, he now no longer wants to target Brand. So now his only target is Christian. So he's now wanting to go for Christian. And it's funny because, I mean, if you don't watch the feeds, then you don't know. But it's funny because the edit is very foreshadowy. And Christian is his target. So we're going to see what happens from here, because it looks like he's only got one target in mind. So what's the next option at this point? Because you don't want to put any women up. So now what? All right, so now we get into the wild card competition. So the wild card competition is going to happen every single week. Basically, the winning team, which will be the HOH's team of the week, they don't compete in the wild card. It's only the teams that are eligible to be nominated. So the trick is with this, if you're picked to play in the wild card competition for that week, you're not allowed to play in the competition until everyone on your team has played. And the team itself, you have to basically nominate somebody from your own team to play. So, and with that comes a power at the end where whoever wins, they're able to basically grant themselves safety for the week, so they're secure. So basically what they're going to do is go ahead and pick the teams, pick the players that they want to go ahead and play in this wildcard competition. I mean, all the teams in general, they were all just kind of conversing, and they were all in their confessionals and their DRs. They're basically just saying, like, I don't know if I want to do this because I don't want to put a target on my back, because if I potentially win this, I could be potentially looked at as a threat in this game for competitions, especially people like Whitney saying that. Claire said the same thing because they've already won a competition and they don't want to be looked at as somebody who's a con beast. So they're not trying to go in. Ozza wasn't trying to go in. Tiffany was not trying to go in. Tiffany's like, why do I need to do this right now? So yeah, they're all trying to figure out what's going on. So the players that are actually going to go in, for the queens, it will be Kylan. For the kings, it will be Christian, which threw a monkey wrench in Frenchie's plan because he wants Christian out, and Christian is now playing for safety, which he's got a 1 in 3 chance of getting safety. And then for the Jokers was the only team that did not select a member, and they wanted to leave it up to fate. And that's another thing. If you're not able to come to a conclusion of who you want to go in, basically they pull the chip out of the bag, and whoever's picked is who's going in, and they picked Hannah. Hannah was not trying to go in either. Hannah was like, I'm not trying to do this because, like everybody else said, like, it'll put a target on my back if I end up winning. But she's like, I have no choice at this point, and now I have an opportunity to save myself and secure my safety for the week. She's in go time mode, and she's now trying to go out here and get this thing done. So it's one girl against 2 guys, so we're gonna see what's about to go down. We get into the competition, and this competition is called Do Not Disturb. So the objective is to get into the to the competition. It's basically a bunch of different rooms with a bunch of junk all over the place. And the objective is to get through and get 3 items, which will be keys, a wallet, and a phone, out of this area with all this with all this mess in there, and try to be as quiet as possible. If you're not quiet, you rack up points, which then could be a penalty towards your points that you do have. So whoever can do it in the quickest time wins. So we start off with Hannah. Hannah, she went ahead and went in there, and she had a total score of 114 initially. She had a time of 6 minutes and 3 seconds. She had a couple penalties, which then knocked her 114 to 414. Next we had Kylan. Actually, we had Christian next. He had 125 points initially with a time of 3 minutes and 41 seconds with no penalties. So he keeps that low score. That puts him in first place at this moment in time. And then lastly, we've got Kylan. Kylan went in and put up 136. His time was 6 minutes and 16 seconds, so he had the worst time out of the 3. And all those penalties knocked him up to 486. So that puts him in third, that puts Hannah in second, and the winner is Christian. So Christian has won the competition, which puts a monkey wrench in Frenchie's plan of getting him out of the house. And now he has to figure out what the fuck he's gonna do, because he done promised so many people so many things and told them that he's trying to get Christian out. So now what are you going to do? This is going to be very funny to see. But the thing is, once you win this competition, you get to spin this wheel. And the wheel has 1, 2, and 3 numbers. So you basically spin the wheel, and if you land on 1, you get to save one of your team. If you land on 2, you get to save 2, 3, you get to save the whole team. So this is tricky because this could show your hand to the house based off of who you save. Regardless if you might be saving somebody just because, or if you have an alliance with them, this could potentially show your hand, and we're about to see who Christian what Christian lands on and who Christian chooses. So this is about to be really interesting. We get back, and Christian spins that wheel and lands on 1. So he can only select one person from his team to save, and he decides that he wants to save Xavier. Obviously Xavier's happy about that. The other 2 on his team, which is Sarah and Alyssa, are obviously looking like, okay, dang, like, now it's one of us 2 who possibly could be going up, because I mean, they're sitting ducks at this point. They're the only 2 from their team that are left as options. And if, just hypothetically speaking, you've got the other 2 teams who still have all 4 of their members, which possibly all 4 of their members up for grabs in terms of being nominated, or you can just kill out that one team with the 2 left. That's easy for just one person to say, hey, there's 2 options right here for me to put up on the block. I might as well put you up because, I mean, look at the numbers at this point. But Alyssa and Sarah are obviously looking like, okay, we're sitting ducks at this point. I don't know what to do. But yeah, so then they all scramble after that, and then everyone's in their rooms just talking, having little conversations. And it's funny because this one scene, Tiffany is literally walking out of the room because she literally catches Frenchie. I don't know if she had any inclination that he was over there, because I was watching on the feeds when this happened, and it was so odd and just spot on for her to get up at that time, because he was literally right there up against that door, and her excuse me, like, it was like, okay, like, move out my way, what are you doing? That was funny to me. But he's just walking around the house, and they had this montage of him just walking around the house, just scoping around like he owns the place, and he's sitting there watching Christian and Alyssa, and they're just sitting in their kitchen and just laughing and talking, and Christian just happens to put his arm around Alyssa, and that shot off them showman's antennas for him. So now that he can't get Christian, he now sees Alyssa as the next option for him to go ahead and target, which completely goes against everything he already said, which he was not going to put up a woman on the block. Alyssa is a woman, so what are you? Like, and he's told half the house that he was going to do this, that he was not going to put up women on the first week, and once he puts her up on the block, that's going to be very, very interesting to see. And all the other people are going to look at him like, your word means nothing. Like, your word is bullshit. Like, you flat out told me you weren't going to put no woman up this week, and look at what you're doing. So he basically starts to try and question Alyssa and say, like, who are you trying to save in this game? Who are your allies? And she's like, I'm just looking out for my team. And he's sitting there saying, like, she's full of shit. And she's obviously noticing everybody's looking at her, and she's now questioning whether or not she might be the target. So let's see. This nigga Frenchie is a fucking idiot, dude. He gets on the, and let me just give you some if you don't watch the feeds. He said on them feeds that he was not going to put up a person of color, and he was not going to put up a woman week 1. And he literally did just that. Like, he put up 2 people of color. You got, he put up Kylan, who is black and Mexican, and you put up Alyssa, who is Hispanic as well. And a woman, like, come on, like, and he sits there and says he had a dream. This is his reasoning for putting them up. He had a dream last night that he needed to go fishing, and in order to get the big fish, he would have to go ahead and put them 2 up. And basically, he's trying to basically say that Alyssa is the big fish. For what? I mean, I guess he's trying to say that she's a part of the big fish because he suspects a potential showmance. And I guess the big fish, as we know, since Christian was his target, and now he can't get to Christian, he now has to get to Alyssa, which is such a punk ass move. Like, whatever. He's annoying. He's stupid, and I see this literally backfiring in his face because the whole house knows that you're full of shit and your word is not bond. But that was the episode. Yeah. Comment, like, subscribe. We'll be here Wednesday to see the power of veto. And see the fallout for these bullshit ass nominations that just got put up. And I'm not a fan of them because I like both Alyssa and I like Kylan as well. I would like other people to be on the block, specifically Frenchie, but can't do that this week. So catch me next week. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll talk to y'all later.